Hello and welcome to Views from the Sideline. It's July 17th, 2018, and on today's show, we talk Jabari's homecoming, Isaiah Thomas in the Mile High City, Kenneth Fareed headed to Brooklyn, Linsani makes another stop on his tour, and much, much more. Let's get into it.
So I noticed you already said you one-on-one versus MJ, you all day, right?
Me all one-on-one?
One-on-one.
Never
versus
lost.
MJ. Okay, what about you on one-on-one with
LeBron
LeBron?
one-on-one, he too weak.
He too weak?
Back in my heyday, can't nobody hold me. 270?
Okay.
Benching 500? All I gotta do is bag you in, I'll lift all of them up off their feet.
Okay, so do we have any video of this YouTube?
Don't need no video, it's all up here. You wanna come see me back in the heyday, I was a bad mamma jamma, I'm gonna let you know.
Okay, all right.
Wasn't
He
LeBron
was a bad
260?
mamma jamma. That's what he just said. That was
That's-
LeVar Ball.
That's a heck of a tone setter. How can we live up to LeVar Ball now?
That was courtesy of Fanatics
I don't know
View
how we can do it.
Originals on YouTube. That was a LeVar exclusive interview where they asked if he could beat LeBron James one-on-one in his prime.
Isn't LeBron like 260? He's like estimated like
He's
250. I mean, I know he's slimmed down in recent years.
But LeVar's argument is he could bench 500 in his prime.
You don't think LeBron is strong? I don't know how much
No,
LeBron
I
can bench.
don't
I don't know
know.
if that's ever come out, but I know that guy is fit as can be.
Oh, yeah.
So
No,
I
look,
don't know. Anyway,
LeBron's like the best athlete in the world.
LeVar is a big man, but
yeah.
he
That's
has
a-
no,
that's
he
actually
has
a-
no basketball skill.
No, I know. That's actually a really good question, though.
And
Like,
LeBron is also bigger. Like when he was talking about Michael Jordan, LeBron is bigger than Michael
Yeah.
Jordan, like taller and everything.
strong. Yeah, every single aspect, LeBron is bigger.
So no
But-
debate.
That's actually a good question. Like, who is actually the best athlete in the world right now? Like, that's a tough. Like, LeBron's up there. He's top 3 if he's not number 1.
Yeah, I think you'd have to put
I'm-
LeBron or some football player.
Even a soccer player. Soccer players are heck of it athletes. But yeah, let's jump right into the show. Like we said in the intro, we got Jabari Parker news, Isaiah Thomas news, and a couple Brooklyn trades that I want to get into. Brooklyn's kind of making use of their cap space in an unorthodox way, not making any signings, absorbing contracts, and obtaining picks, which hats off to Sean Marks and that front office. They've done a terrific job kind of rebuilding from what was left when they made the Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett trade, which was, I mean, probably the worst trade in NBA history. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I listened
That-
to 97.1, and Valeni had talked about it at one point where he was saying that was the absolute worst trade in sports history. And after I heard like his whole discussion about it, it's hard to argue against it.
It's
It was
so
for
bad.
sure one of the worst trades of all time.
They traded their future for 2 years.
Yeah.
And literally
Two.
their future
2
of
years.
7 years.
On an aging Paul Pierce and Kevin
After
Garnett.
year 1, Kevin Garnett was basically
Like-
old man Garnett.
Like
Right.
Paul Pierce and KG.
Paul Pierce was still getting buckets, but he was on the.
But they
going
were
down a
they
little
were
bit.
like when they got there, Paul Pierce was like 33 anyways,
Right.
34. KG was like 35.
and Jason
36.
Terry.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
guys
Jason
were all
Terry was
on
a
their
part of
way
the trade,
out.
too.
So it didn't make any sense to begin with.
Like I can understand if a little bit more if you're trading for a guy like a Blake Griffin at
Right.
his age of 28 or 29. Not like
And now
The
look
old Celtics.
look how beautifully the Celtics are sitting now
Oh my.
because of it.
they had the shortest rebuild in NBA history.
Danny
incredible.
One
Ainge
season.
is an all-time great.
Who's an all-time great?
Danny Ainge.
Oh, yeah. Can't argue
You
that.
can't deny how great of a GM
And
he is.
The picks too. Terry Rozier late. I mean, he's struck out on a few like you're going to when you have that many picks.
I thought James Young was going to be good.
Yeah,
but
that was the guy I was gonna bring up. I thought James Young was gonna be good.
Yeah.
He's out of the NBA. But let's talk about Jabari Parker. There was a lot of uncertainty when it came to his future. Even going into last week, there really wasn't much interest. There was interest from Sacramento. I heard Brooklyn kind of kick the tires on Jabari, and then Chicago. Milwaukee didn't want him back at the price they wanted him. He got $20 million a year from Chicago, 2 years, $40 million, and the Bucks did kind of a class act move. They rescinded that qualifying offer, making him an unrestricted free agent, so Jabari didn't have to wait out that 48-hour period to see if Milwaukee would match. Do you think that was a good move by Milwaukee because they gave up all leverage? in that situation because you're not going to do you're not going to get any compensation for Jabari.
I think so. I think in part of it is that, you kind of feel bad for the guy. He's given a lot to Milwaukee or tried to, and he's just come up short with injuries. And that's not really his fault per se. And I know that, the Bucks maybe are trying to keep it a little bit classy and say, hey, maybe it's time for you to refresh. And it just didn't work out. And it's not like he didn't try, like I said, but, it just gives him that option to be able to move on easier and not have to wait around. And
Yeah, and I heard a couple things that in the playoffs, Jabari was kind of getting angry with his assistant coaches for not getting as much playing time. I wonder if that played a role in them not wanting to commit long term. And another thing too, if Giannis Antetokounmpo wants Jabari back, like he says, I need Jabari back.
Right.
He's back there.
yeah, they keep
So
him.
there's something going on. It probably wasn't a huge amount of tension, but for Giannis, who is kind of grown with Jabari, to not stick up for his guy, essentially, I think that says a lot about the relationship between those two. Malik, I want to hit you on this. Do you like the Jabari move to Chicago?
I love that Jabari Parker is going home. I'm happy he's a Bull. But I want to talk about Milwaukee in this one
Let's
because
do it.
if they don't make a blockbuster trade or somehow get a lottery pick, I think they're done.
Oh, they're not
for.
getting a lottery pick. There's
They're-
no way. They're going for that top 4 seed.
They're not going. They're not going to get the top 4 seed. This team isn't good enough.
That was going to actually be my next question.
Besides Giannis, you have Eric Bledsoe, who's kind of like Reggie Jackson to me. He's a good
I
point
think
guard, but
Bledsoe's
he's,
worse than Reggie Jackson, personally.
Disagree, but whatever.
Well, when
But-
Reggie's healthy.
both of them are good point guards, but neither of them are really the guy.
Yeah.
I don't think Eric Bledsoe
Right.
is the good guard, is the point guard for that team. Even with DiVincenzo adding him, I still don't think they have enough shooters. They drafted DJ Wilson last year. He could come along eventually, but
He ain't coming along, Malik.
he's looking like a guy that could be out of the NBA in 3 or 4 years. I don't see it. I really don't see. Besides Mike Budenholzer, your guy, I don't see. I don't see him
he'd be
lifting
good.
this team to anything really.
Well,
if they
unless
get
Brook-
above a 6 seed this
if
year, I'll be surprised.
Brook Lopez comes back to form, if he can play 30 minutes a night and not get hurt, maybe.
Well, that's what
But defense and rebounding, what are you gonna? Besides scoring, Brook Lopez isn't.
Right. But
for
they have other defenders that can
I think
replace him, though.
They still have John Henson.
Yeah.
Okay.
well,
They still
John's
have
not going to
Henson.
play as much as Brook Lopez. Brook's going to be that starter.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. They can throw in defensive guys if they
Yeah.
need to.
And Giannis is going to kind of take a lot of those boards too, because my idea of what this lineup's going to look like, it's going to be Bledsoe at the 1, Middleton at the 2, Giannis at the 3, Ersan probably at the 4, with Brook Lopez at the 5. Space out the floor for Giannis. I think
And they have a strong bench. Malcolm Brogdon off the bench.
Yep.
Thon Maker's kind of starting to come
you know
along.
what's funny with Thon? Like, we get maybe a 2-week period out of his first 2 seasons where he looks
like
amazing.
a superstar.
in
Yeah.
2 week
Yeah.
in 2
in a
week
2 week
periods,
period, he'll look like
but
an
he's
absolute
quiet
stud.
for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that worries me. It's just no consistency. He looked amazing in the playoffs against Boston in the first round, and I don't remember seeing one highlight from him through the whole regular season.
I think Malcolm Brogdon is a more fit of a starting point guard for that team.
well,
honestly.
the thing with Brogdon is
But-
there's injury issues with him, and
Yeah.
his foot.
and he's not really a go-to guy either on offense. So.
yeah. I mean, but you got Giannis. You more so want guys that kind of or what's the word complement Giannis better, opposed to being a ball dominant player. That's why I think they might look to trade Eric Bledsoe.
I hope they do. I don't see this team getting to an Eastern Conference final anytime soon.
I know the Pistons almost acquired Bledsoe.
Yeah.
Bucks will be
I
lucky
don't know
if they
though,
get to
this-
the second round.
I think, like, Jabari to the Bulls, if he gets healthy, the Bulls are actually a dangerous.
They're gonna play
Oh,
no
yes.
defense. They
But-
play no defense.
But they are so young.
If Chris
like,
Dunn, is Chris Dunn still on the Bulls?
yeah.
He's a really good
Yeah.
defender.
If those
He's,
guys.
that's one good defender.
If-
Jabari is a terrible defender. Zach LaVine may be the worst defender in the NBA.
We don't know how
He
good.
is awful.
We don't know how good of a defender the rookie they just got is.
Wendell Carter, he's a rookie.
Exactly. We don't know how good of a
defender.
defender Wendell is going to be.
Laurie Markkinen is not the greatest defender.
True.
So there's like
I don't like looking into the summer league, like I've said multiple times. But Wendell Carter led the summer league in blocks.
blocks.
If
Like
you just want
that's
to take
That's
that
all.
into
He's
account.
he's athletic
Well-
and built enough to be a really good defender.
But I'm just saying their core, if they can like
it's
buy
solid.
in,
It's solid.
Chris Dunn, Zach LaVine, you got to put Jabari back to the 3, which is what he played
Exactly.
at Duke,
I'm pretty sure that's what
That's
they're
exactly
gonna
what they need to do.
which after him playing for the Bucks and playing the 4 a lot, I don't know how that's going to transition because of his defense is not that good, and the 3 is a tough guard in the league. But they have a lot of options, I think, if they can buy in. I think they're one of those teams that's on the fringe, but I mean they're young, so that's another hard part to guess how they'll do.
Now you guys pretty much answered my question, and I was gonna ask, does this help? Is this a good move for Milwaukee or a bad move? Essentially, and I think we're in unison here. It was a bad move for Milwaukee just to let him go with no compensation.
I think only slightly. I don't think
He was really a non-factor through the year just
Right.
because he was off and on with injuries. He kind of came off the bench whenever he was healthy.
and Giannis plays the same role that he kind of does.
Mostly a ball dominant forward. I think Ersan will be a better fit. That's why I think Milwaukee might be better off
Right.
without him. But to me, it's not getting that compensation for a number 2 overall pick. Yeah, I understand at the end of the day, they just have to bite the bullet. But
Hey, the Pistons bit the bullet on a number 2 pick back in the day, so don't worry about that. We've all been there. Maybe the Bucks will not win a championship.
but they bit the bullet on Grant Hill, but they still got Ben Wallace out of the deal.
Well, they bit the bullet with Darko is what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
I'm talking about Grant Hill. I don't even remember Darko. That dude
Stop
played
it.
here?
You remember Darko.
Nah.
He was on that championship
Yeah,
team. He held the trophy, Chris.
he's like Adam Morrison. He's
a
getting
champion.
Compensational ring.
Adam, I don't even know if Adam suited up that
Two-time NBA champion.
Darko actually played for the Pistons.
Darko, the championship cigar.
That was Adam Morrison for the Lakers.
Him and Mehmet Okur. Great.
No, Mehmet Okur.
Mehmet Okur was
he's
good.
actually
I know.
solid.
Yeah.
But was this a good move for Jabari as a player to up his brand, to up his game?
He got way more money than he probably should have. So I think that's in that respect.
He gets to play his natural position, which is really important to me. And him being at home, being able to play in front of his family and friends, I feel like he's going to be more motivated. We're going to see the level of Jabari Parker that we thought we'd see from him in year 2 or year 3 without injuries. I think Jabari Parker might have been an all-star by now. And I think we're going to start to see.
Really?
Yeah. He has the talent.
the problem is
Jabari Parker's still one of my favorite players. Like coming out of high school ever. I've always loved Jabari Parker's game and his size and who he is as a player. His injuries have held him back and he hasn't been in a great position.
But that's the problem. Like, are they going to still hold him back? And that's the thing. You have to question with every player that's had these problems. Like, obviously, we've lost some great players to injury. So it's always nerve-wracking. Obviously, you hope for the best and hope that it works out. And I think that it's a good fit on paper, but you don't know until he starts playing. And
Exactly. And I'm going to give you guys a number here, and I want to get your opinion. If Jabari's healthy in that Chicago Bulls offense, which I think Fred Hoiberg might be in trouble, sidetracking, but I think Fred Hoiberg, if he struggles early on, he might be gone in Chicago. But if Jabari is healthy, does he average over or under 19 points per game?
under.
I know.
I'm gonna go 17.
Yeah.
Because I think Laurie and Zach will probably have higher averages. Or around that same area.
See, to me, I'm not sold on Fred as a coach. I understand he was this offensive, juggernaut in college.
He's been average his entire time.
He's been
in
average.
Chicago.
I understand
Yeah.
he's not had the best players around him, like these vets that really don't work out. But I could see Chicago being that type of offense where Levine goes ISO one possession down the floor. Next possession down the floor, Jabari goes ISO. Next possession down the floor, they throw it to Wendell or throw it to Laurie. I'm not sure it's going to be so smooth and this electric offense that everybody is hyping it. I understand they have really good talent. I'm not sure Hoiberg's the guy to kind of get the best out of that talent. And last question on Chicago here. Yes or no? Are the Chicago Bulls a playoff team? Playoff contender.
I have a friend that
Contender,
thinks
not a team.
I have a friend that thinks they're a 4 seed.
No, he doesn't.
He does.
That's as silly
You're
as
not-
He has a lot of out there predictions.
that's
Well,
almost as silly as Chris thinking the
was just
Pistons
gonna-
are 4th seed.
I was
I'll take
just-
the
I-
Pistons over the Bulls any day.
I was just gonna say I can't really talk because I said if the Pistons hit in their perfect situation, would win 50 games.
But no, I would say the Pistons have a better chance.
Oh
of
yeah,
4th seed,
easy
for sure.
Of course.
But I think the Bulls are there.
Yeah, they're a I'm not saying
They're
a
right
team,
there.
but they're a contender, so they're in
Yeah.
that 9-8
The Bulls have to be better than Miami, who's probably going to make the playoffs.
They're bringing back their full core of 44 win teams.
Yeah.
Washington
What exactly?
with the Dwight
Who might-
Howard.
Yeah,
who
he
might
might
be
be
better.
the greatest big man in the NBA right now.
He's better than Marcin Gortat. We already
I
already
took
did that
yeah.
last week, and I sent you the
I took the-
images.
Yeah.
Breaking news, I took the L on that one last week.
I sent Chris the stats, showed him what was up was last year. Dwight beat Marcin Gortat in almost every stat.
I think it was
available,
every stat available.
Forget
But-
the stats.
except
Just
for, like,
looking at
assists.
player to player.
except for like assists. But anyway, I think the Bulls are right there. They're with those 7th, 8th seed teams right in the East. I think this makes the East a lot more interesting. I think the East overall is pretty good up and down. They're not as good as the West, but I think they're just as competitive as the West.
Well, that's the thing about that East, that competitiveness where people wanted 1 through 16 playoff seeding. Like, you're not going to get competitive basketball in those first rounds, like we talk about on the show. If the Bulls were playing the Warriors in a 1-16 matchup, that's going to be an average
Well,
of 30-point difference. In
That's
each game.
that was my big question too. Is when we talked about that before, were we thinking that you still take 8 teams from the West and 8 teams from the East, or are you doing the top 16
You're doing the
overall?
top 16 overall.
So then the Bulls wouldn't make it.
Fair point.
So
Even-
you wouldn't get that. You might get.
Now I
something
wonder. I
interesting.
wonder if they would do. You have to take 8 teams from the. I don't know. It does. It's not going to happen anyways. I don't think.
No, I don't think so either. But
If
if they were to do it, I think I'd rather have. If they went all in on it, I'd rather do 1 through 16.
Malik, Chicago Bulls, playoff contender or pretender?
I'm gonna say pretender, I guess.
You need a drink of water.
No. The emphasis on pretender.
Yeah.
What do you think, Joey?
He already answered the
Yeah,
question.
I
Malik.
think they're a contender. I think they're there. I think they're right there.
Contender
So
or
they're-
pretender.
So they're a pretender then.
Yes.
Obviously, it's all
Contender.
kind of hanging on chemistry, but
There's a lot of moving parts there too
Right.
that need to mesh.
I
I'm
think
giving
they're
them
there.
30, 35, 36 wins.
I like that range. It's a solid range for them, especially if they stay healthy. Moving on though, we got the Brooklyn Nets. I did not think we were going to talk about the Brooklyn Nets that much this summer. Yeah, Malik repping the Nets hat. He's the resident Nets fan for the day. We got
Shouts out to Dinwiddie.
shout out to Spencer Dinwiddie and the stash. His backcourt got a little bit messier after these first few moves. The Brooklyn Nets, they made a trade with the Denver Nuggets. They acquired Kenneth Faried, Darrell Arthur, a 2019 protected first-round pick, which is top 12 protected from Denver, and a future second-round pick, while Denver got Isaiah Whitehead. This move is purely a salary dump.
right.
That's it. That's what it is. They're using their cap space to acquire another first-round pick. And top 12 protected is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So if Denver, let's say they miss the playoffs and they're a 9 seed again, the Nets are going to get another lottery pick. I really love how Brooklyn just keeps obtaining these picks. What's kind of your opinion on Brooklyn Nets front office kind of wheeling and dealing here?
I think this is a great deal for both teams, honestly. It gets rid of the terrible Kenneth Faried contract, the terrible Darrell Arthur contract. Those guys looked good when they were first acquired for the Nuggets. Didn't end up working out. The picks obviously will hurt, but this ends up freeing $21 million for the Denver Nuggets for next summer. And they're already a team that's right there on the cusp of the playoffs. If they are able to add some sort of superstar or
Star
A
level.
minus, B plus star next summer, they're going to be a really good team.
And you can tell how competitive they've been in the offseason. They tried to secure a meeting with LeBron, didn't happen. They've talked to San Antonio about a Kawhi deal, hasn't come to fruition yet. Denver is serious about adding a star
Right.
around this young core.
They know now that they have Jokic locked up, it is their time to go.
Yeah.
They need to try now. And they signed Isaiah Thomas, which could be a huge.
Let's
pickup.
let's chill
I'm just
out a
saying
little
it
bit.
could be. All I'm saying is it could be.
Um,
But it also helps the Nets too. Like they get more picks. They get to tank for some more seasons.
And they're officially done with that Boston deal. After this summer,
Right.
they have no more picks they have to give to Boston. So that's a good thing. They can finally start their rebuild properly.
They could have 2 lottery picks next year, potentially.
They will likely have at least 2 first-round picks, though.
Right.
Do you think, Malik, you can jump in on this too since you're the diehard Brooklyn Nets fan here. Do you think you're going to see any Kenneth Faried action, or is he going to be more of a buyout candidate there in Brooklyn?
I think Kenneth Faried. I think he's gonna end up staying in Brooklyn because I don't think there are any teams that really are like really looking that hard for Kenneth Faried. If this was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, he would have had a much higher chance to get on a better team. But at this point, people know what Kenneth Faried is. He's a high energy guy.
Yeah.
That'll give you a few highlights.
But he is not the manimal anymore.
No, he's not.
What happened to that?
And also,
He lost playing time, though. I think a lot of it was situational. He just didn't get the time.
why have people turned on Isaiah Thomas?
You have
Completely.
Wait. What?
Isaiah Thomas just signed with the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah. What about it?
And nobody's talking about it.
People have turned.
Isaiah
They
Thomas,
don't care about Isaiah
he signed
Thomas.
a vet minimum
If
deal
this-
for a reason.
if this happened, he was hurt last year. The year before that, he averaged 30
that was a
for the number 1 seed in the
Malik,
East.
Malik, that was a serious hip injury for a guy.
It was.
For the guy on who is first of all 5'9" on a good day, with
Listen,
good shoes on.
I do not
Hold
talk
on.
about height anymore. If you can play, you can play.
Okay, that's
I'm
fine.
not going with the
That hip
5'9"
injury
stuff.
took an edge off of his speed.
So
I will tell you that right
do you
now.
have to be like D Rose and win an MVP? Because when he came back, people waited.
D Rose is not what D Rose was. Do
People
not bring him up
people
in
waited
this.
3 more years of Chicago, and people still thought D Rose would come back, and people still love D Rose.
Yeah, they thought and they
People
loved.
gave
He
people
didn't get
completely
back.
gave up on Isaiah Thomas once he went to Cleveland.
Isaiah
I don't
Thomas
know.
may be the
just-
saddest story
The
in
NBA,
the NBA.
the NBA has disrespected him completely because he was injured.
Because that injury is critical. Like, I'm not sure if he has that bounce back. Like, his speed was key for him to get past
it was.
defenders.
It was.
And that hip injury, it was so serious, especially since he delayed surgery so long, and that's going to play a role in how that hip heals. I don't know. I'll have to see it to believe it that he can get past, like, elite defenders and draw that contact and finish through the contact. I'll just have to see it to believe it. I understand why teams bypass signing him to longer-term deals or even bypass signing him altogether because Isaiah wants a chance to earn a starting spot back along with playing on a playoff team. Denver was that perfect situation.
Which is incredibly sad for a guy that's been doing that his entire career. And he finally got to the
And that's
playoffs, averaged 30 points per game in the playoffs, almost an MVP season. The terrible, terrible things that he had to go through those playoffs to play through.
Do you remember that 50-point game
That was
Yeah.
crazy.
against Washington
Yeah,
in
I'm
Boston?
I'm not denying his greatness when he was healthy.
right.
That dude,
I'm
was a
just
bad boy.
He has some of the most heart I've seen in any player in the past.
I agree with you completely.
10 years.
And it's just sad that
Yes.
he's had to work his way out of things, made it out, was one step away from getting his max deal that he's been looking for his entire career, and then has to go through this injury.
And one thing that we keep getting reminded by these certain players, like they're going all out for their team, like even like a Chauncey Billups, there is no loyalty in the NBA. What Isaiah did for that Boston
Right.
franchise, and then for him to be left high and dry, and he was on the free market, he was on the free agent market. They could have brought him back.
Right.
Isaiah said, "I'd like to go back to Boston." There is no loyalty in the NBA, which is
Right.
kind of a bummer. I understand it's a business, but you'd like to think there's
Right.
some
as
of that.
fans,
Exactly.
it hurts. And I'm actually really disappointed in the Pelicans because apparently
I saw that too.
Anthony Davis was trying to recruit Isaiah Thomas, but nothing ever happened.
Well, I think
And maybe they didn't know.
no, I think
what was
Isaiah
going on with his
probably
talks.
I think Isaiah probably just chose Denver over New Orleans as a situation.
Maybe.
You
But
never know.
I think Isaiah has more potential to play in New Orleans with Alfred Payton rather than with Jamal Murray, who's I think proved himself more last year than like Alfred Payton.
Yeah, I
has.
agree with you. But also Isaiah's reuniting with his former head coach, which will probably just Mike Malone. Mike Malone is the head coach in Denver, and that was Isaiah's rookie head coach. So I wonder if that played a little bit of a role as well. Again,
Right.
we will never know until
Yeah.
Isaiah comes out with his book because all these players come out with books in the end
Yeah.
of their career. And actually,
Have you watched the show on YouTube, The Book of Isaiah?
I saw like when
I watched the
was-
first 2 seasons of it.
Yeah, I saw season 1.
You saw when he got
When-
traded.
Yeah,
on,
I saw that. Yeah, I saw
that clip that hurts watching that.
Yeah.
It really does.
No, that was a rough one. And it's such a cool inside look into these players' lives, even though there is some nothing is truly reality. It is all cameras are there, they're ready for it. But yeah, it's a really cool inside look. If you haven't seen it, just YouTube it. Let's get back into the Nets though. We kind of got sidetracked there into the Isaiah Thomas stuff, which we were going to talk about in a little bit, and we'll probably jump back into it as well.
Well,
The Nets made a second move to clear up all this cap space to acquire Kenneth Farid and Darrell Arthur. They traded Linsanity himself, Jeremy Lin, to the Atlanta Hawks for a
on
future
the
second
move
round.
again.
Well, here's the thing that I really like about this move. The Nets did this purely to clear up enough cap space to acquire Kenneth and Darrell, along with getting another pick. But Jeremy Lin will be a very good mentor to Trae Young, because
Right.
the Hawks are definitely looking to trade Dennis Schroeder. That is a foregone conclusion. Do you like Lin as a mentor for Trae? Joe first, then Malik.
Yeah, I think so. Jeremy Lin is, I mean, maybe not. He won't go through. Trae Young is going to go through a lot more scrutiny, I think, than Jeremy Lin ever did, because nobody expected anything from Jeremy Lin until he came out in New York.
Cannon, yeah.
And man, was he like the biggest headlines in the NBA in recent memory
That was the only time I liked the Knicks.
for a few weeks. And Jeremy Lin has had a good career. I don't think he's never made it back to that Linsanity age, but he's had a good, solid career. He's been plagued by injury the last couple of years, which is unfortunate. So he's been moved around a lot, but I still think he's a very solid player. He's very smart. He knows what he's doing. He's got a good jumper. He's still athletic. He's skillful.
He is coming off that torn ACL, but
Right.
I think in this case,
that's going to be tough.
in this case, it's not that big of a deal because
Right.
they're not trying to win games. They're
Right.
just trying to get some mentorship.
But
for him.
I think he'll still get good playing time with Atlanta, and even
Oh
if,
yeah, I'm sure he will.
and potentially even if they move on from Kent Bazemore as well, that Jeremy Lin could play the two a little bit. He's done that in the past, so I think he's a good fit for them. And obviously, he's just a very smart guy, well educated. He schooled Kenyon Martin like a year ago or 2 years ago, whenever that whole
Oh yeah,
tattoo
yeah,
thing
yeah,
came
that was-
out.
That was dumb.
So it just shows like he stays cool, calm, collected. He knows what he's talking about. So I think that wisdom coming from Jeremy Lin will help Trae Young adapt to the NBA.
Malik, do you echo Joey's statements there? Do you think he's going to be a good fit, or would you rather see them stick with Dennis Schroeder as a point guard mentor?
No, Dennis Schroeder doesn't want to mentor anybody. He just wants to start and be a star. Jeremy Lin in Atlanta, I love that move. I think when healthy, Jeremy Lin is a high-quality backup point guard. He showed in Charlotte that year. He was healthy the entire year. When he came in, he was a huge spark. He scored. He made plays when Charlotte needed him to, and in the playoffs too. He played big-time minutes and played at a high level. So
His one and only
If he can
game
stay-
last year played pretty good. He had,
Oh, yeah,
I think he had 17
he was
points.
playing
or
good for
something.
Brooklyn.
Wasn't it like
when
the
he
first
was-
game of the year?
Yeah, it was the
before
first
they-
game.
That's rough.
Yeah, he had like
That's so
17
bad.
points, a couple assists in that game, and he was out. Just
Because he
according-
started alongside D'Angelo, I think.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
yeah, when he's healthy, he's a really good backup, and I'm pretty sure he might start at first, but I think he'll eventually become the backup to Trae Young, and he'll serve a really good role to being the mentor for Trae Young.
Now, I want to open this up to both you guys. I have no opinion on this whatsoever. Where do you guys think Dennis Schroeder's going? Because
I have a very good thing that I talked to you about.
I'm not
are you
sure.
going to say
A
the
couple days ago.
Pelicans?
No.
I'm not sure about who wants Dennis Schroeder, honestly.
Like,
'Cause
I know there's red
He
flags.
seems like a diva, but he's really talented.
Right.
He's still only 25 years old.
Exactly.
I don't know what the potential like talks are, but I was thinking last week, sometime over the like Friday or something, and into the weekend, about what would be a really good fit.
I know who should get him. You go first.
But the perfect deal, I think, that would work out, and money wise and everything, would be the Orlando Magic. Were you about to say
Yes.
that? Because you think about it,
That is exactly what I was about to say.
the Magic are trying to get rid of Nikola Vucevic. The Hawks don't have a very good center. I think John Collins is more of a 4.
Dwayne Dedman is their center. So,
And
yes, they need a center.
So Vukovic would be an upgrade
Isn't
from
Vukovic
Dedmon.
on an expiring contract this year, too?
I believe so. He might have 2 years. I don't know. Either way, the money works out perfectly between the two. You can do that almost straight up. I'm sure there would be some little assets to even it out because Schroeder's a little bit younger. but it works out perfectly for both teams. Orlando just got Jerry and Grant, but he's not a starter in this league. And then they have DJ Augustine, so they'd have 3 solid point guards, but Schroeder would be the starter. Vucevic would fit in well.
Who would be their starting center? Timofey Mozgov in Orlando?
Mo Bamba.
Oh yeah, I'm not.
Mozgov
Bamba's
at
not
first.
ready.
Mozgov
Yeah,
at
Bamba's
No,
not
I
ready.
think Mozgov would
Yeah.
start, but it gives them more opportunity to play Mo Bamba and get him acclimated to the NBA. And then I would say that the Magic would look pretty okay going into the future with that lineup. They'd be a lot younger. Jonathan Isaac has looked better in
He's
Summer
looked better.
League.
He's looked
I know
better.
NBA executives are high on him.
Yeah, I
don't
know.
He looks raw, dude. He
Yeah.
looks.
Who, Jonathan Isaac?
Yeah.
To me, he looked like he developed a lot more.
Well, yeah, he had
To
a
me.
lot to develop though to look.
Right.
He's like that Bruno Caballo.
But that's another one
No,
of
He's like
he's
2
no, he's nowhere near Bruno.
Okay, I'm just
Caboclo.
like of a lottery pick, kind of.
Oh yeah, he was
comparison.
extremely raw. He
That's
was
what, for a lottery for
future,
a number whatever. I think it was like a 5 pick.
5.
he was
That's
extremely raw.
raw for a 5 pick. Like they went off the Giannis.
But-
Okay, if we can get this guy into a Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I think he's gonna average double digits this year.
But if they can go,
Yeah, what?
I don't think so.
if they can move,
12, 13 points per game, Jonathan.
Nah, Aaron Gordon needs his touches.
if they can move Aaron Gordon like back to his original like 3 position,
Aaron Gordon's gonna average like 24.
They could
and
play-
10.
Mozgov, I'm just gonna take out of the picture. But you have like Mo Bamba, Jonathan Isaac, Aaron Gordon, Evan Fournier, and Dennis Schroeder for the future.
well,
That
Evan,
looks pretty
I
solid.
don't think Evan Fournier is going to be part of their future.
No,
They've
but
tried to move him off and on for like 3 years.
for at least this season is what
Yeah.
I would say.
And that's weird because he's been playing good for them the entire time.
I know. Evan just goes about his business and
Right.
just
Really.
keeps collecting them checks.
But I feel like that's the best deal out there, and I don't know if there's really any other
New Orleans
teams that
I
are.
agree, I agree with you completely.
I mean, maybe New
I
Orleans.
wouldn't like to see Dennis in New Orleans.
Why?
I wouldn't
I think-
Him
I
and
think-
Anthony Davis with Mirotic and
I
Randall.
think Alfred is
Next
the
to
type of
Drew?
point guard Anthony
Yeah,
Davis.
I think
needs.
Alfred Payton is more of.
You don't.
Oh my!
You
the
don't need to put a
prototypical-
scoring guard with a scoring guard with him and Drew
I know,
Holiday.
but
and
Alfred
then-
Payne, I'm just not sold on as a
I know.
player.
Well, we'll sell you on him. Trust
All
me.
right, hopefully.
But-
All right, Malik, did you want? So that was your choice, Orlando.
Yes,
All right.
all in on that Orlando trade.
But they're like the one team that needs a point guard. Like for sure.
Detroit. Now let's actually jump into the Isaiah Thomas stuff. Are you guys? I think I know the answer of this. Are you guys surprised by how little he got?
A little bit. But I'm not-
I'm most definitely.
Heading,
I mean,
heading into the summer, did you
him
think he was
getting a
gonna-
veteran's minimum really kind
Yeah,
of blew me
I didn't
away.
think he would get that low.
Jose Calderon is making more than him
yeah,
this year.
that's like when you put those type of numbers up there,
Oh my
that's when it
God.
sounds bad.
Yeah.
Like that's why I understand maybe Isaiah wasn't interested in Detroit because they knew they had Reggie Jackson, but I feel like I don't know, all
Right.
from $4 million.
Yeah, I
you
thought
know?
that too.
That would have been so cool.
I started thinking that too. Like, oh, the Pistons could have signed him instead of Jose Calderon. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Because even at the end of last season, I know he hadn't had the surgery and all that, but he looked okay for the Lakers at times.
He was the defensive.
He was better than Jose Calderon, I would say.
Jose actually played really well for his
No.
age last year. For his age,
Jose hit open
He's-
jumpers, which he will always do.
yeah, I know, but like playing off
he was
of
a solid
LeBron,
distributor.
he was a solid player. The Cavs played their best basketball with Jose Calderon starting.
Well, Tyronn Lue. What more can you say?
Was it a good move for Denver? I think so. I think that was a
Obvious.
no-brainer move.
Oh yeah.
Especially Jamal Murray. You're still trying to kind of blend him into as a point guard. I think that's actually a good move.
The
for
fact
him.
that Isaiah agreed to be a backup.
I think
Pretty much.
he
I
agreed
think-
to
I
be a
think he-
backup.
They're talking him being backup.
Yeah,
so-
but he has the opportunity to start.
Right.
That's why that's what was getting me at first because I don't want Jamal Murray to be the backup with the way
No,
he's
no, 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 no.
developing.
You won't.
And Gary Harris is the starting two, so him going in there, I was sure he was going to be bullheaded and try to start. But if he agrees to be the backup, yeah, this could be
And that-
an amazing position.
and
for
that'll
the
work
Denver
out too
Nuggets.
because they lost Wilson Chandler. They're promoting Will Barton to starting lineup, like for sure now, whereas before it was kind of back and forth with Wilson Chandler. So Isaiah Thomas is the lead of that bench, which is good because that's what he's always been able to do. He's been a leader for a team and a lineup.
I disagree. I think the leader of that bench is Will Barton.
Who's going to start at the 3? That's what I'm saying. Is that now without Wilson Chandler, they put Will Barton into the starting lineup.
I don't think Will Barton.
No,
is the
no,
leader.
no, no. He's not going to. There's no way.
I don't think Will
starts.
Barton is a leader anywhere.
They
well,
don't have
for
another,
the second unit. For the second unit.
they don't really have
I don't think
another
Will
three.
Barton's a 6-man though. He never started.
I think Will
He
Barton.
started a bit last
He's
year.
only 6'5". I don't know. If
Will,
he can
Will
actually
Barton is
do
just
it.
a guy you put in to get buckets. I don't see him being a leader of anybody. That's another reason why I don't really see him as a starting 3 in this league. But
Yeah.
if they want to start him at the 3, if they think it's better, okay. But
We have some potential breaking.
I don't think he'll be
news.
that
He played
consistent.
pretty good last year, though. Kawhi get traded, that'd be great. So we don't have to talk about it anymore.
All right, so, all right, I can't confirm this because it's a broken link, but
it's a rumor. We're getting rumors
Vincent
started.
Ellis is reporting it's not like a player personnel move. Arnie Kander might be coming back for the Pistons to help injury prevention because their medical staff has been iffy lately. Arnie Kander never had long-term injuries. What do you feel about that, Joe? That makes me happy for a move that doesn't involve a player.
I don't really care.
I mean, it's gonna help though. We've had so many injury problems over the last 3 or 4 years. You don't care.
How much of a difference do you think he
Yeah,
will?
I think
just-
he makes a big difference.
Is Reggie Jackson going to be completely
he
healthy
gonna-
this season?
If
I
he's,
think you have a better chance with Arnie
is he
Kander
gonna
than you do with
run
that.
fluids through Reggie Jackson before every game?
I hope that isn't that what
Listen,
we're paying
Because if
him
he
for?
does, then okay, maybe we'll be talking.
I don't have the
But unless
details,
he's
but-
got Reggie drinking whatever amounts of water that you're supposed to drink in a day, because I don't even know, then we'll talk.
Will
2
Blake
gallons.
Griffin not have little injuries all throughout the year that add up to missing the playoffs?
If Reggie
I
Jackson
think
isn't
it helps.
cramping, if I don't see a game where Reggie Jackson cramps, that's a win.
What about the gloves? What if he
Game
doesn't have
1,
the
cramp.
gloves on?
Then we're in trouble.
But
So we'll see.
yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you guys off. But once we get some breaking news in the studio, got to bring it up. We need a breaking news soundbite. I want to sound professional. But do you guys think we will ever see the Isaiah Thomas of 2016-17, that MVP season? He's what, 31 now, 32?
Sadly, no.
Yeah, I don't
Thank
think
you,
so.
Malik, for being real.
With
I
the
thought you were gonna say yes.
with the age and the injury,
Yeah,
I think that 1 year he may be a one-hit wonder, but it's not his fault.
that's what goes
It
into
really
the.
isn't.
You know what stinks too? He was talking all that junk about get the Brinks truck ready when he was healthy, and you know what? Teams are gonna pay him that much money if he was still that guy.
Right.
Such a bummer.
That's why I said it's like one of the saddest stories in recent NBA history.
Makes for a great book.
I think.
What if I told you?
Yeah, it's with 30 for 30. Moving on to another point guard move. Shabazz Napier moves from Portland to Brooklyn.
That made no sense.
Money.
I just
I mean, from a personnel standpoint, I agree. It doesn't make the most of sense because you have D'Angelo Russell and Spencer Dinwiddie, who I think will be ahead of him.
right.
Um,
And they have Joe Harris, which they're high on.
Joe Harris
I'm-
has 2
I'm
guards.
He's,
though.
not.
yeah, he's just a shooter.
He's a shooting guard, though. He ain't.
I'm just saying.
He's no point guard.
Napier's played a little bit.
Joe
of
Harris,
two-guard.
first of all, had no business getting $8 million a
Right.
year. But shout out to his agent. That was a nice move. That kind of answered my question. I was going to have you. Are you surprised he didn't stay in Portland? I am.
A little.
Because he was playing well as that third guard behind CJ and Damian Lillard. He shot the ball behind the arc 40%.
Right.
That's really good for a point guard off the bench. And for him to not seek out an opportunity where he can maybe push for more minutes.
Especially for all the talk with Damian Lillard lately that he might be out.
I
Portland at some
don't
point.
buy it. I think it's just hype.
I'm just saying. If it's a possibility, you might want to stay and stick around.
Malik, are you surprised by the move from Shabazz?
I am.
LeBron's favorite player?
I am because I had lost hope in Shabazz Napier until last year. He finally showed that he can play this game in the NBA and that he's not useless.
Yeah, he struggled early on. He did.
I thought he was going to be a lot better, but he showed that he can be a really good backup last year.
Yeah.
I think he should have stayed.
We'll see how that shakes out. I mean,
Apparently, Portland believes in the high school kid. He played pretty good in summer league.
oh yeah, Anthony Simmons. I heard he played okay, but I'm not sure if he's gonna really make that much of a difference year one. We'll see. I want to talk to some Toronto Raptors. They're kind of the hot team, the hot name around the association when it comes to a certain Kawhi Leonard. Thursday, July 12th, OddsShark shared their updated odds on Kawhi's team for opening night. Kawhi Leonard was even odds. That he was the favorite. Does that surprise you guys? That the Toronto Raptors were the favorite for Kawhi Leonard right now? They are the favorite.
I don't know what Kawhi wants. I don't.
Well, here's the
I
thing.
don't know where he is mentally. That's the thing with me. Kawhi Leonard is a guy. I really think we cannot get into the mind of Kawhi Leonard because of how stoic and just stone faced he is. We will never know what he's thinking. Besides the fact that it came out that he fell out with the Spurs organization, but team wise, he said he wants to go home. But then you find out the Raptors have a chance, and I'm not sure.
The thing is, I think Toronto makes this trade. Well, they definitely make this trade without a guarantee that Kawhi is going to re-sign.
What
Like,
do they
that's-
trade?
DeMar DeRozan.
Well, here's the thing. This comes.
You
got
got
to
to give up more than DeMar.
Well, this comes into my second point here.
Right.
After these odds were shared, a good 3-4 days later, DeMar DeRozan deleted all of his photos off his Instagram page. Hasn't done that before. Are these two things tied together?
I think people look
Or is that
way too
far-fetched?
much into the Instagram
Thank you,
stuff
Joey.
because I've heard it a lot.
I gotta bring it up. I need to get the
Players
opinion.
do it all the time in the offseason. Anytime they're starting to get talks and they just want to, get away from basketball as much as they can.
But why delete all your pictures? That doesn't make sense to me.
Because people are going to be commenting on every single one. Are you getting
Yeah.
traded for Kawhi? Who's talking?
Turn off
Are you
those
talking to the Spurs?
notifications.
I'm just saying. People see things and you never know. I don't know how the money matches up though in this trade. I keep trying to look
Well,
at
I've
it
heard-
and it's really kind of funky. the way-
Let's go into that. I think any Kawhi trade starts with DeMar DeRozan, then another young piece, maybe an OG and an Obi, and a couple of picks. I think that's where you get the
I
conversation
think they got to
started.
give up Jonas Valanciunas too.
No way.
And
The
then-
Spurs,
No
the Spurs.
way.
Do you know how much the Spurs want for Kawhi?
They don't.
You think the
first of
Spurs
all-
will just
First of all, Jonas is a contract I don't think they want.
DeMar and OG? That's it.
No. Maybe another young
picks.
player, but I don't think Jonas is a contract the San Antonio Spurs want. I'm not sure that fits Jonas and Kawhi Leonard.
And the Spurs would have to give up Kawhi and like a.
I mean, not Kawhi, Jonas and LaMarcus Aldridge. Sorry, excuse me. What were you saying, Joe?
I was gonna say like to get Kawhi and the money to match up with like DeRozan and a younger player, they'd have to also add somebody like Danny Green to the deal. So there'd have to be like picks from the Raptors side to equal that part out. So it's just kind of tricky. It turns out to be like a lot of these other things with like the Lakers and stuff where the deals are really hard to be made because the Spurs are going to ask a very high price of Kawhi, especially if they're going to go with the Western Conference and send him over to the Lakers now. Whereas all these other teams, they don't want to get ripped off too bad because they're scared that it's just the 1-year rental. But they're also taking into account that maybe they'll be the new OKC to Paul George. And Toronto can be that for Kawhi, and that they'll show him the way, they'll get him in, and he'll love it, and he'll want to stay. He seems so set on LA, though, right now. I don't see how you do it. My question is, with all these teams getting in there, where are the Detroit Pistons in this?
Oh, they can't make. They don't have the assets to make a deal.
Didn't Kawhi open the door?
Andre
open the
Drummond
doors
and-
for the Clippers. Too?
Andre Drummond
Yeah.
and Reggie Jackson.
Yeah, San Antonio would hang up the phone and block your phone number. But I mean, I'm gonna ask you guys straightforward here. Do you believe the Kawhi Leonard to Toronto Raptors hype? Do you believe that is actually a viable trade option and something that could definitely happen?
No.
Initially, I said yes, but the more that I've looked at it and just like I just said, the inner workings of how it would work out, I don't see it happening.
Just don't see it.
Yeah. So I have no idea what Kawhi's going to do this year. It's
It'll be
crazy
fun.
because I don't see them being able to get a trade done. The Spurs are playing it really
I fully
good.
expect Kawhi to sit out this year, which would be
No
crazy.
way.
I think it's gonna happen.
I think
That
Do you,
would be
do you
such
think
a
he's gonna play
storyline.
for the Spurs?
Well, I don't think it'll be
if
a
they keep
Spur.
him?
I don't think it'll be a
there
Spur.
could be a crazy thing where he waits. The Spurs wait all the way until the trade deadline just so they can get something.
That'd be great. Yeah, I mean that
Because
that's
I
when it
don't
gets-
because
gets
I think that
interesting.
their asking price right now is going to be too high, and then they're going to get to that point where there's going to be a playoff team that wants Kawhi, and at the trade deadline they're going to have to do something so
But I
that they
think-
don't let him just walk.
they're going to get the best value this summer. They're not going to get the
But I
best
don't-
value
I-
at the trade deadline.
No, I know, and that's what I'm saying is that I don't think they're going to be able to get the value that they're asking for unless they lower their value of Kawhi, because I don't know if teams are going to take the risk of the 1-year rental and give up all these pieces that they might have.
Now the Spurs have kind of been adamant in saying they want to remain competitive while trying to trade Kawhi. Is Toronto that best destination to acquire the best assets to remain competitive while also still building for the future? I think so. I think
Probably.
you get DeMar DeRozan, you get a couple young guys. OG, he's going to be solid. Maybe another player in Toronto's kind of farm system there. Maybe Pascal Siakam and a couple picks. I think that's the best thing the Spurs could do if they want to remain competitive and not go into a full rebuild. We'll see, though. A lot of moving parts here. I don't think Kawhi will be there by opening night. He could be there by training camp. Which
I don't think
really
a trade
cool.
is going to happen by the beginning of the season. There are so many teams involved in talks right now that it seems ridiculous. Every 2 weeks, there's a new team that's interested in Kawhi, and I just don't see it.
Yeah, fair point. I want to touch on just a little Charlotte Hornet action here. Kemba Walker said in an interview that he plans on being a Charlotte Hornet for a while. Are you guys buying or selling that?
I'll buy it.
I want to buy it for the Hornets fans.
Well,
When is Kemba
what does your
Walker?
mind say,
When is he
Joe?
a free
I'm
agent?
just-
Is he a free agent?
Next summer.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm just
I
nervous.
gotta rethink that.
See, that's what I'm nervous about is that there's going to be a lot of money thrown around next summer.
Somebody's gonna throw tons of money at Kemba Walker.
I'll tell you what,
So-
Charlotte's not making the playoffs this year either.
No,
not.
they're not. They're on a downward spiral. You
Yeah,
know,
so
they were looking good for a little
Sell
while,
this.
and
Sell
now
it,
they're
Joey.
just
Sell it right now.
falling. I want them to stay, but I can't guarantee it.
My hot take for today, I think Kemba's on a different team come opening night
Of this
Really?
season?
of this season.
Wow, that'd be crazy. Where do you think he goes? You think he goes to the Lakers right
Do
now?
they start Tony Parker?
I think Lakers is a very viable destination.
What do you? But see, that turns into the same thing as
Lonzo
like
Ball.
Kawhi. What do you?
Lonzo Ball. I think Charlotte.
Lonzo for Kemba?
Well,
straight
there's
like
gonna,
straight
there's gonna
up.
be other things because to add up the salaries, but I think Lonzo would be the centerpiece to that deal. LeBron does not want to deal with this whole Ball family. He doesn't. And you know what? I
don't think LeBron cares that much.
Well, I think he'll care.
I
when
think he's
season
willing
comes.
to take it because he likes Lonzo that much as a
I don't think
as a
he cares
basketball
for
player.
Lonzo.
But I think like LeVar likes LeBron. That's like they're just kind of like bantered back and forth between buddies, which I don't think they're
But if
buddies.
you're gonna tell me,
LeBron cares for Lonzo after that Cavs game.
But-
when he talked to him with the jerseys up,
he was just
wouldn't
being
have,
a nice guy.
he wouldn't have talked to him at all if he didn't care for Lonzo.
He was being a nice guy. He knew what he was going through, and he wanted to help him out. But here's the thing: the Lakers have 4 years of LeBron James. They need to start competing year one. Lonzo Ball next year is not even in the same stratosphere as Kemba Walker. So if they have the opportunity to trade Lonzo Ball for Kemba Walker, I think they do it.
I hate this Lakers situation so much. I just have to
I
say
love
that.
it. I love
hate
it. It's not Cleveland. I love it.
hate
I
it.
can talk Los Angeles all day long.
I just want to see the young guys in LA, man.
yeah,
I don't want to see LeBron putting together a team and forcing everybody to change their games again.
I don't
well,
know.
yeah, LeBron's not putting together a team like he was in Miami or Cleveland.
I'm
so
just
far,
always
but-
curious of
well,
what the
forcing
package,
everybody to change their games.
Yeah,
I just don't know what the package would be.
I'd have to look into it. Come back to you.
Right. I haven't
Um,
looked at it at all.
The Hornets
But I
would
think
try to
it's
get
an
Brandon Ingram so it wouldn't happen.
I still feel like the
Unless
Lakers'
they
best
give up
option is
or
just to wait till next summer.
Yeah.
And yeah, they could sign Kemba too. We have probably a good 10 or a little under 10 minutes left. I want to get into a little summer league recap here. The championship game is tonight between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Portland Trail Blazers. By the way, there was a great game last night between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Lakers. Went to double overtime. Josh Hart had 37
I
points.
saw the highlights earlier.
I think
It was-
Colin
yeah.
Sexton had, what was it,
27.
27 points. He showed out a little flexing on defense, too. If you haven't seen that, Google that. But those two guys have been playing really well. I want to get your opinion on guys that have taken a step up in Summer League and guys that have maybe taken a step back. I'll start off since I'm the diehard Pistons fan of the group. We got Nets, Pelicans, Pistons. Ellenson took a huge step back. I don't think he should be on the opening night roster, personally. I think he's just not an NBA caliber player. He's more in that
I don't know what
Austin Day.
happened.
He looked good last year in
He
Summer
did.
League.
I mean, in the early in the regular season, he looked good when he played.
Isn't he still
Like regular
averaging like
season
20 in
games.
this summer league?
14, 15.
Because I thought like his last like 3 games
He
he's
shoots
had,
about
like,
25
over
times.
20.
There's a game he went 1 for 12 from 3.
Every time Stan Van Gundy put him in, he would play good, and then Stan just stopped playing him. And now it's starting to look like I kind of understand why Stan
Siding with
wasn't playing
Stan.
him.
Yeah. I think Bruce
Yeah.
Brown Jr. looks very solid. He's gotten some.
He just had a game though where he was like 4 of 17 and like 1 of 8 from the 3.
Well, here's the thing with Bruce Brown. They asked him to do a lot more that last game because Kyrie Thomas was out. They were starting guys like they didn't have Larry Drew II. They were starting guys like Reggie Hearn, Kadeem Keratin from you don't even know who that is
But you're going to give him a pass?
because he had 4 solid or 5 solid games opposed to 1 bad one. Henry had 1 solid game opposed to 5 bad ones.
Jaron
I
Jackson
feel like
was
that's not true, but I'll have
embarrassing
to look
Henry
at the
Ellenson.
stats.
Just look at the stats. Come back to me and say, Chris, I know you were right. I'm sorry for questioning you. We'll talk about
I'm
that
going to
next
look
time.
it up right now after
Um,
that statement.
But I think Bruce Brown looks solid. Kyrie Thomas was held out the final 2 games. He looked okay. There wasn't really too much of a sample size to get a good understanding of Kyrie Thomas, but there was nothing negative. Some other players, Miles Bridges looks like a stud, and I thought he was going
Miles
to be a
Bridges
bust.
doesn't look like a stud.
Did you not watch the last few games? Have you not seen the
Yes, I
highlights?
watched the last few games.
I think
Come
he's
on,
looked pretty
He's
good.
looked pretty good.
He's hitting jumpers. He's
and
dunking.
he's throwing down. He's trying to end careers.
That's
He
what
al-
he's supposed to do.
He almost ended. Yeah, okay.
Miles Bridges can dunk.
Miles Bridges, yes, but I didn't expect him
And
to
he's
be
hitting
this solid.
threes.
Okay, but I didn't expect him to be this solid early on. I thought he was going to be a bust.
But
He's
exactly,
doing,
he looks
Miles,
like a
Miles is doing exactly what I thought he would do.
he's doing
Hit
what
some
he's,
jump shots and dunk.
He's doing what he's supposed to do.
That's what the NBA players need to do. I think he
That's
looks
exactly
like a
what I
stud.
thought he would do.
All right, then what are we complaining about here? We think he's going to be
Not
good.
a stud.
Yeah, I feel like he's done exactly what he's supposed
Exactly,
to do, which
yeah.
is good.
I think Mo Wagner's been very good. Early on, he sat out a couple games. Duncan Robinson earned himself a 2-way contract off
Shouts
this
out
game.
to Duncan Robinson
Yeah, shout
playing
out to Duncan.
amazing.
Seriously. Trae Young struggled, finished strong. Josh Hart, I think he's going to be a rotation player this year. Those are just some guys that I think stood out for me. What about you, Malik? Well, Joey's looking
me,
up stats.
The 3 guys I'm going to go through, they're all Lakers. Well, I'm going to go all Lakers and then one other guy that got hurt.
All right.
Sviatoslav Mikhailuk,
Oh, he was fantastic.
Moritz
last
Wagner,
night.
and Josh Hart. Those 3, they shine so bright in this tournament. And I didn't expect them to. I expected Josh Hart to play that good, but I didn't expect Svi and Mo Wagner to play as good as they did
The thing with
in this stretch.
Svi,
Those young Lakers, Svi earned a contract.
yeah.
Mo is probably going to get a lot of minutes this season just because of his offensive ability.
The thing that really surprised me with Svi is his ability to put the ball on the floor and create a shot for himself. That wasn't
Yes.
there at Kansas. It
That's
is
'cause
now.
The
That's what
offense,
he's worked
the
on.
offense they ran, they made him more of a catch and shoot guy, but
Yeah.
he has some athleticism that he didn't really get to show at Kansas.
Do you have anybody else you want to?
Also,
some
I'm going to
more?
go 2 more guys. Actually.
Yeah, go
I'm
for
going to
it.
go 3, actually.
All right, go for it.
Lonnie Walker from the Spurs.
Yep.
He started to shine bright late in the tournament
Yep.
before they lost and they sat him out. Malik Monk, before he got hurt, he was lighting everybody up in the first few games, and then he broke his thumb. And Aaron Holiday from the Pacers.
He looked really good.
I think
yeah.
the Pacers are about to look like one of the smartest teams in the league for making that pick in the first round. Going into his senior season, I'm sure nobody thought Aaron Holiday would be a first-round pick. The Pacers took him 18. He's looking like he's going to be a starter for them very soon.
He looks like Drew Holiday. When he dribbles
Exactly
the ball.
where I drafted him in our mock draft.
He's 6'3". He's strong. He has a beautiful jumper. He's
Yeah.
very smart. I mean,
He's a good.
he
feel
can be a
for
good
the game.
defender. Yeah. Very good
Joey,
pick.
I understand you're looking for stats. You got like
Oh,
three.
you want
three-
guys that went down? Henry Ellenson.
Yeah, I got that.
TJ Lee for the Pacers.
Yeah, he looked terrible.
looked
He
kinda
looks like
bad to
Allenson,
me.
too.
You go ahead, Joey.
Come on, Joe. We need something.
I
out of
can't.
you.
I can't find the stats.
It's okay,
Like
don't worry
summer
about
league
it.
stats are terrible.
Guys that stood out for you and guys that took a step back.
Standouts, obviously Duncan Robinson.
Yep.
I think he was huge. Kind of not talked about as much. Our boy from Oakland, Kendrick Nunn. I think he had some pretty good games.
He
He has a
played- he
2-way
played
deal
good.
with
some
Oakland.
solid games. And for Golden State, he's exactly what they look for. Like
Just a
these
young
guys
guy.
out of nowhere that come in and can just play.
Yeah.
So I think he's potential. Let's see what Trevon Blewett actually.
Oh, he shot
which,
the lights out.
which I thought
He shot
was
the
a shame
lights
that
out.
he was undrafted. And there's a lot of those guys that made it to the summer league rosters that were undrafted in this draft
Yeah.
that really showed out in a couple games.
He's really a big time shooter.
Even Malik Sky, Trayvon Duval had a couple good games. The guys that didn't perform, Luka Doncic.
Come on now.
Dude.
We're doing that.
I mean, a little
We're
bit.
doing that.
I will say, so we can be real and that I'm not always all hype on my guys. Mo Bamba was a little bit of a disappointment. He looked good at times, but I was expecting maybe a little bit
yeah,
more.
He's extremely raw.
I know, I
Very
understand
raw.
that.
I think DeAndre Ayton's a little bit more raw than I expected.
I think he didn't show everything
I think
he
a
had
lot.
to.
I think a
agree.
lot of the top picks.
I think he's very talented.
I think
but
a
he
lot
just
of the
didn't show
top
anything.
picks, as strong as we thought this draft was, somewhat underperformed.
Of course, they have a lot of building to do. They haven't even started their seasons. They have
I
a
know,
ton
but
of
I'm just
building.
saying, if
Yeah.
we're going to talk about summer league,
Marvin Bagley
the
didn't look
top
good in his
picks-
last 2 games.
right? That's what I'm saying. The top
Jaren
picks,
Jackson looked great
yeah,
for the most part.
but he got eaten alive by Mo Bamba the one game. So I mean,
yeah, they all have their flaws.
right, and yeah, that's about it. There's
Jacob-
a lot of guys that I want to see. Dante DiVincenzo.
He
He only
one
played
game.
one game. He was 0 for
Yeah.
6. He just didn't look that
really
great,
hit the basket.
He never got to get into a rhythm.
but still, it's a little bit concerning.
My biggest disappointment is Jacob Evans. He was my boy going into the draft, and he could barely make
You
a
got
jump
me.
shot.
You got me on his bandwagon too.
I loved him as a player. He could barely. It looked like he couldn't adjust to the NBA 3. I don't know what his jumper. I don't know what it was.
Again, you know what's gonna
He
be
didn't
funny?
look comfortable out there.
In a year from now, we're probably all gonna look stupid for talking trash about these players when they actually make the jump, and then these guys that aren't gonna be playing well.
Another one too. Mitchell Robinson proved that he can play,
That was a steal for New
so
York.
that was a surprise. Kevin Knox.
Kevin Knox.
Kevin
looked
Knox
really
was a
good.
Oh
big
yeah, how are we
one,
not
Yes.
talking about Kevin Knox?
The New York Knicks are looking great in this draft right
He
now.
got booed on draft night too.
Yeah.
because they
And-
wanted Michael Porter.
But they did the same thing with Porzingis.
The Knicks are so ridiculous.
But they do
Knicks
that.
fans are
Knicks
so
fans, I mean,
ridiculous, yeah.
Right.
Knicks fans.
If they don't get exactly who they want, they're going to be mad. So that was, I think the Knicks are going to look pretty good,
All
especially
right.
with David Fizdale.
I'm gonna give both of you 45 seconds. Quick hot take.
Quick hot take.
Going
I'm
into
on the
next
spot.
week.
Joey, you got the hot takes. Give us a hot
Joe,
take.
we're working on getting a segment
A
for
fresh
Joey on the hot
UI?
take.
hot take.
Do I have a hot take?
You know you had a hot take up there, Joe.
Yeah, but I don't know exactly where. I know the player and I know where. Or I don't know where. I'm going to say
This is a hot take for the season? Or-
Or
no,
just
just in
for this
general.
week.
Okay.
I'm going to say Carmelo does not go to any of the teams that people have been talking about. The Lakers,
Houston.
Miami, Houston. I'm going to say he doesn't go there.
That's
For some
dumb
reason.
hot take, but I'll let you have it since I put you on the spot.
I know, but I want to know where Carmelo goes. So
You got anything, Malik?
The Lakers don't get any more big name free agents, and they stick with this roster they have.
All right. I
I think that's what they should do.
I think that's what's gonna happen too. That's gonna.
Even though he just said that Kemba is going to be on the move.
well, I said we talked about a viable option, and I said that was a viable option. I didn't say it's gonna happen. That was my prediction.
You said Kemba wouldn't be on their roster opening
Yeah, but I
night,
didn't say he was gonna be in the Lakers.
I guess. Okay.
You brought him up as a
All
good
right,
spot.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Animosity here in the studio. You know what? Just keep calm and carry on, all right?
Sorry, not super hot takes
Alright.
this week.
It's all good. I put you on the spot. Didn't even tell you guys get into it. But that's the show. We'll see you guys next time. I'm Chris Pappas. See ya.
Bye.
Jeremy Lin is the point guard Atlanta deserves.
And needs.